Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. I am absolutely honoured to be sitting here today with a man who didn't just play the game, he changed the world. For those who may somehow not know who are you?
Hello, Calvin. My name is Jackie Robinson. Most folks remember me for wearing number 42 for the Brooklyn Dodgers and being the first African American to play in Major League Baseball in the modern era. But I always like to think of myself as just a man who wanted to prove that talent and character don't have a color.
A true legend. Let's take it back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born on January 31st, 1919 in a small town called Cairo, Georgia.
And what was your given name at birth?
My full name was Jack Roosevelt Robinson.
Roosevelt. Is there a story behind your birth name?
There sure is. I was named in honor of President Theodore Roosevelt. He had passed away just 25 days before I was born, and my parents wanted to pay tribute to him.
That's a powerful start. What was your hometown like growing up?
Well, we didn't stay in Georgia long. My mother, Mally, was a brave woman. She moved us out to Pasadena, California, when I was just a baby. Pasadena was beautiful, but it was a tough place for a black family in the 1920s. We lived on Pepper Street, and we were the only black family on the block. Some of the neighbors weren't too thrilled about that, but we stood our ground.
What was your family life like with your mother leading the way?
We were poor in money, but rich in spirit. My father left us when I was very young, so my mother raised all 5 of us kids on her own. She worked long hours as a domestic worker, washing clothes and cleaning houses. She taught us about faith, hard work, and never backing down from what's right.
I can see where you got your strength. What kind of kid were you?
Oh, I was full of energy. I was always running, jumping, or playing something. I was a bit of a scrapper too. I didn't like being treated unfairly, and I'd speak up about it even back then. I was very close with my brothers, especially Mac, who was a great athlete himself.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
I think my biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to provide for my mother or live up to the sacrifices she made. I saw how hard she worked, and I desperately wanted to make her proud and make her life easier.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
Honestly, I just wanted to be an athlete like my brother Mac. He won a silver medal in the 1936 Olympics right behind Jesse Owens. Watching him made me realize that sports could be a way to move forward in life.
You were definitely a natural. What were some of your favourite activities in school?
Sports, and more sports. At Muir Tech and then at UCLA, I played everything. I lettered in 4 sports: football, basketball, track, and baseball. Interestingly enough, baseball was actually considered my worst sport at the time.
That is wild to think about. What was your first job?
Outside of odd jobs as a kid, one of my first real jobs was working as an athletic director for the National Youth Administration. I wanted to help kids find the same discipline and joy I found in sports.
Was there a moment where you realised you were different from everyone else?
It wasn't one moment, but a series of them. Whether it was being told I couldn't swim in a public pool except on certain days, or seeing the way my mother was treated, I knew early on that the world saw me differently because of my skin, but I also knew my talent on the field was undeniable.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
Leaving UCLA just shy of graduation to help my family financially. It led me to play professional football in Honolulu, and eventually led me into the Army, which is where I really started to find my voice as an activist.
What was your biggest break?
That's an easy one, meeting Branch Rickey. He was the president of the Brooklyn Dodgers. He was looking for someone who had the talent to play in the big leagues, but more importantly, the guts not to fight back when people attacked him.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
The Jim Crow laws were a constant battle. Traveling with the Kansas City Monarchs in the Negro Leagues was exhausting. We couldn't find places to eat or sleep many nights. It was a hard life on the road.
Did you ever consider quitting?
There were days during that first season in 1947 where the weight felt too heavy. The insults, the death threats, the players who didn't want to shake my hand. It was a lot, but I remembered my mother, I remembered Mr. Rickey, and I knew I was playing for every black person in America. I couldn't quit.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
I was a big believer in practice and physical conditioning. But mental discipline was my biggest routine. I had to learn to channel my anger into my performance. Every time someone shouted a slur, I tried to turn that energy into a base hit or a stolen base.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I think I would have stayed in coaching or physical education. I love teaching young people how to use their bodies and minds to better themselves.
What was your life like before fame?
It was a lot of grinding, just a young man trying to find his way, playing ball wherever I could, and trying to be a good son and a good husband to my beautiful wife, Rachel.
How did relationships change after success?
It was a mix. I gained many new friends and supporters, but I also lost some people who couldn't handle the spotlight or the controversy. Most importantly, it brought me closer to Rachel. She was my rock through everything.
Did fame bring happiness?
Happiness came from the impact I was making, not the fame itself. Seeing young black kids in the stands at Ebbets Field, that brought me happiness.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
The lack of privacy and the constant pressure to be perfect. I felt like I couldn't have a bad day because it would reflect poorly on my entire race.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Some people thought I was naturally passive because I didn't fight back that first year. Those who knew me knew I had a fiery temper. It took every ounce of my soul to stay quiet that first season.
What was your darkest moment?
The early days in the minor leagues in Florida were very dark. Being threatened by mobs and forced out of towns just for trying to play a game, that was a test of faith.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I sometimes regretted that I couldn't do more, faster. Even after I retired, I worked hard in the civil rights movement because I felt the progress was too slow for so many people still suffering.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
That my journey ended when I stepped onto that field in 1947. That was just the beginning. The real work was the 10 years of playing and the years of activism that followed.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong, and how did you handle it?
When I was in the Army, I refused to move to the back of a segregated bus. I was court-martialed for it. It looked like my future was over. I handled it by staying calm, telling the truth, and relying on my friends and lawyers. I was eventually acquitted and honorably discharged.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
It gave me a platform. It allowed me to start a bank, the Freedom National Bank, to help black families get loans. It changed my life by giving me the tools to help others.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother, Mally, for my character, my wife, Rachel, for my heart, and Branch Rickey for the opportunity.
What was life like in your final years?
I stayed very busy. I was a commentator for baseball, I worked in business, and I stayed active in politics and civil rights. I struggled with my health. Diabetes took a toll on me, but I never stopped working for equality.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was focusing heavily on economic empowerment for the black community. I believed that until we had green power, economic stability, we wouldn't be truly free.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away on October 24th, 1972 at my home in Stamford, Connecticut.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I was a champion at table tennis. I loved a good ping pong match.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Early on, there were rumors that I was only being brought up as a publicity stunt and that I couldn't actually play at the major league level. I think I put those rumors to bed pretty quickly on the field.
What was your most unique habit?
I used to have a very pigeon-toed way of running. It looked a bit funny, but it got me to first base faster than just about anyone.
What was your favorite food?
I always loved my mother's home cooking, especially a good dish of smothered chicken and biscuits.
Did you have a favorite book?
I read the Bible quite a bit. It gave me the strength to handle the trials I faced.
Did you have any known rivalries?
On the field, the New York Giants were our biggest rivals. Those games were always intense. Off the field, I had some public disagreements with other figures about the best way to achieve civil rights, but it was always about the mission.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
In the Negro Leagues, we once had to use our team bus as a shield because we weren't allowed into a restaurant and a crowd was getting restless. We ate our cold sandwiches on the bus, laughing and telling stories to keep our spirits up. We made our own joy.
What's your funniest behind-the-scenes moment?
Seeing some of my teammates try to learn how to deal with the Brooklyn fans, those Dodger fans were something else. They were loud, they were loyal, and they'd let you know exactly how they felt.
What was the most outlandish purchase you made?
I wasn't much for outlandish things, but buying our home in Stamford was a big deal. It had a trophy room and plenty of space for the kids. That felt like true success.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives. Don't just chase a trophy or a paycheck. Chase a way to make the world better for the person coming up behind you.
Jackie, this has been an absolute dream. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before signing off?
I just want to say thank you for remembering. It's wonderful to see how the game has grown and how many doors have opened since I wore that jersey. Keep pushing, keep playing fair, and remember that everyone deserves a turn at bat. Thank you for having me, Calvin.
Thank you so much, Jackie. What an incredible journey from Cairo, Georgia, to the history books. We talked about his four-sport stardom at UCLA, the courage it took to break the color barrier with the Dodgers, and his lifelong commitment to civil rights. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.